Former President Donald Trump has officially filed for the 2024 presidential primary in New Hampshire. He became the first ever former president to file to run again in a New Hampshire primary, showing up as required in person there at the state capitol and paying the $1,000 filing fee. He later held a campaign event in Derry, New Hampshire, where we find CBS News campaign reporter Olivia Rinaldi covering the Granite State and the former president for us. Olivia, what did Trump discuss during that rally today?
Yeah, hi, Ed. Thanks for having me. As you point out, he was here earlier today in Concord, where he signed for the first in the nation primary to run. However, in his remarks later on in Derry, his focus was not really on the primary, but the general election. He spent the majority of the conversation attacking Joe Biden, especially for his speech last Thursday evening in primetime, where he discussed the war in Israel. Trump said it was neocon warmongering, and he warned that Biden is going to push the U.S. further into conflicts to distract from his poll numbers at home. I thought it was notable that he didn't really spend a lot of time talking about Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, talking about former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, who are rising in the polls. He really spent the majority of the time focused on Joe Biden. And I expect that in the coming weeks, we can see that being his strategy as we get closer to the primaries here.
Yeah, I think as he was telling reporters earlier, he's in the 60s, and the next nearest competitors is something like 8%. So why not focus on the general election? I'm curious, how are New Hampshire voters reacting to his filing today and to his appearance?
Yeah, they're hopeful, I mean, they're excited to see him here. It's just his second visit this month. Earlier in the month, he was in Wolfboro, New Hampshire. And a lot of the people I spoke to here didn't get into that event. So they drove far and wide to come here to see him today. I spoke with some voters earlier about their reaction to the war in Israel. Take a listen here.
I think we're getting too much into the war. I know we have to stand by Israel, but I just think he's a clown.
Want him as a president. He was great at that, and that's it.
I don't even see a future for them. It's with the education and what they're being taught and the way the country is. Yeah, not much hope, unfortunately.
But this gives you hope.
He gives me hope.
As you can tell, these voters, they're excited to have him back in the state. They're excited that he's running. The enthusiasm is extremely palpable. In the room he spoke in earlier today, there's 2,000 people in there. It was almost at capacity, according to the fire chief that I spoke to. So you could just really tell there's a lot of enthusiasm. But on the topic of Israel, there's a little bit of a divide happening in his base. You heard the young woman I spoke with earlier, the first woman I spoke with. She's a young mother, and she told me, I'm worried about us getting dragged into further wars and this being a dangerous situation for my children. I spoke with another voter, though, who said that supporting Israel right now is the most important thing we can do. So a little bit of a divide in that base right there. It'll be interesting to see how Trump plays to both of those factions in the coming weeks.
And quickly, among the people you spoke to, Olivia, do the various investigations and legal cases involving Trump affect his chances or popularity at all?
I think you'll be surprised to hear, Ed, that it didn't really impact how they're feeling about the former president. If anything, his appearances in the courtroom are invigorating them.
Olivia Rinaldi for us in Derry, New Hampshire, covering the former president, as she will continue to do. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Ed.